For many of us, even after almost 30 years from his tragic death, Ayrton Senna continues to be the greatest driver that ever stepped into Formula One. This fact alone just tells a lot about Ayrton's incredible achievements and the unique impact he had on this sport. His fatal accident put the risks of Formula One into public attention and triggered a considerable amount of changes that remodeled the majority of racetracks and brought new safety advancements that altogether reshaped the sport and made it safer than ever before. Hi guys, here is F1 2U and this is the third and last episode of the Ayrton Senna, the Magician of Formula One miniseries on my channel. If you haven't seen the other two episodes, you can watch them by following the link in the right corner of the screen. In this video, I'm going to talk about Ayrton's last races in F1, the legacy that he left behind, and why, in my opinion, he is such an emblematic figure of this sport. So, in the previous episode, I ended with the 1993 Australian Grand Prix in Adelaide, where both Senna and Prost finished on the podium. At the end of the season, Prost chose to end his career, making way for Senna at Williams. As you would imagine, Ayrton's departure from McLaren wasn't an easy one, as this was the team that he had spent no less than 6 seasons with and had gave him the machinery to achieve no less than 3 champion titles, 35 race victories, and 46 poles. So, after all this historic success that he had shared with the Woking-based squad, parting ways with it was clearly very tough. But he could no longer achieve any more titles by staying there. So Williams, the team which had absolutely dominated the last 2 seasons, was the natural place to go for the Brazilian driver. At Williams, Ayrton and Damon Hill clearly formed a very strong lineup. The new car was still sharing a lot with the 1993 one, but without electronic components banned by the FIA in 1994. That meant that the car had no longer active suspensions, traction control, electronic throttle control, and anti-lock brakes, becoming very unstable compared to its predecessor. From the first tests, Senna expressed his concerns about the car's instability, which was handling totally different from the dominant machine that had taken Prost to his 4th title the year before. At the first race of the season, the Brazilian Grand Prix, Senna delighted his fans with his first Williams pole. In the race, however, Schumacher and Benetton had a faster pit stop and passed Ayrton on the pit lane. Then, Michael pulled away to take a 10-second lead, but eventually, Senna started to close the gap. On lap 56, pushing too hard, Ayrton spun off and retired from what would be his last home race. At the following race, the Pacific Grand Prix in Japan, Senna's fortune didn't improve, being taken out at the start of the race after taking pole again on Saturday. After the first 2 rounds, Senna still had no points in the championship, while his new and young title competitor Michael Schumacher had won both the previous 2 Grand Prix. Arriving at the 3rd Grand Prix of the season, held at Imola, Ayrton knew he had to win that race, otherwise it would have become almost impossible to catch Schumacher in the championship fight. At the end of Friday's practice session, Senna was the fastest driver by quite some margin, but Rubens Barrichello's horrific accident spoiled the remaining of the day. On Saturday, however, tragedy struck for the first time that weekend, with Austrian rookie Roland Ratzenberger being killed after a terrible crash in the qualifying session. It had been no less than 8 years since the last time a driver had lost his life in a Formula One car, so you can imagine the pain and doubt felt by the entire paddock, but especially by the drivers racing that weekend. However, the session was restarted 50 minutes after the shocking incident, but several teams, including Williams and Benetton, took no further part. Still, Senna had managed a lap good enough for pole before Ratzenberger's accident to happen, but the Friday incident and the catastrophe that had just happened affected him very much. On race day, Ayrton started first, followed by Schumacher, but yet another crash at the back of the grid caused the safety car to be deployed. The race restarted on the 5th lap, and Senna and Schumacher continued their battle at the front, but unfortunately, only 2 laps later, the race was red flagged. This time, Ayrton had crashed heavily into the concrete barrier on the right side of the Tamburello corner. Sid Watkins and his medical team immediately arrived at the place of the accident, but there wasn't much they could do to save the Brazilian, who was found in a very grave neurological condition. Apparently, a piece of the right front suspension from the car had perforated Senna's helmet and hit him upside his right eye, so 4 hours later at Bologna's Maggiore Hospital, he was declared dead. Formula One losing one of its most emblematic personalities that day. The news of Ayrton's tragic death shocked and upset fans all over the world, not just because of his superstar status in Formula One, but because of the amazing character that he possessed, that lightened up the Formula One community and made the crowds fall in love with him. Even after his last race at Imola, when the wreckage of his Williams was inspected after the accident, there was found an Austrian flag inside the cockpit, Ayrton planning to wave it after the race in honor of Roland Ratzenberger, who had died just one day before. After the disastrous incidents happened that weekend, Formula One and FIA realized that it was just unacceptable to allow these kind of things to happen again on a Grand Prix track. So with the help of Ayrton's friend Dr. Sid Watkins, the barriers and runoff areas of all the existing and new circuits were seriously redesigned in order to improve the safety of the drivers. Also, in 2003, the Haas device was introduced and saved many lives since then. The Ayrton Senna Institute, founded by his sister Viviane in 1995, has helped over 12 million Brazilian children from disadvantaged backgrounds, Ayrton becoming a solidified image of determination and hope among the Brazilian people. In the world of motor racing, he will always be remembered as someone who surpassed all the limits, as a benchmark for all the coming generations, and as an icon of speed, talent, and perseverance. So guys, this has been the final episode of the series dedicated to the life of Ayrton Senna. I have enjoyed very much doing it, and I hope you have enjoyed watching it too. If you have, don't forget to comment with your thoughts, give a like to this episode, and subscribe to my channel. Here was F1 to you, and I'll see you in the next episode.